Malta, a maritime nation at the heart of the Mediterranean. For centuries, a bridge between Europe, Africa, and Asia. A reputable pioneer in global shipping and maritime services. Malta's Ship Registry, Europe's largest register. 6th in the world. Malta is a trusted global maritime hub where compliance, safety, and efficiency converge. Malta upholds the highest standards in maritime safety and security. From rigorous inspections to complete digital systems, the Malta Ship Registry ensures compliance and trust. Malta is driving digital transformation across the maritime industry. Ship certification is now fully electronic building on the digitalization of seafarer documentation. We also believe in a diverse maritime sector, most notably empowering more women in shipping and invest in training and skills for a new generation of maritime professionals. Malta's influence reaches far beyond its shores. As a home to key IMO institutions and a leading voice in international maritime law, we strive for more cooperation, innovation, and progress. Digitally driven, environmentally committed, and ready for what's ahead. This is Malta, Europe's Ship Registry. Globally trusted.
Hi everyone, welcome to another Maritime Legal podcast. Today I have with me Mark Savona. Hi Mark.
Hi, morning,
Good
Jessica.
morning. Could you just introduce yourself a little to our audience?
Yes, so my name is Mark Savona. I work at the technical department of the Malta Ship Registry. I'm a flag and port state coordinator, and my main responsibility is overseeing the technical compliance on merchant vessels, but very specifically commercial yachts and some large pleasure yachts as well.
And I understand you've been at the Malta Ship Registry quite a number of years now.
Yes, for 11 years.
Congratulations, that's
Thank
really
you.
amazing. I have known Mark throughout my daily work. I just know him to be so patient and understanding and always ready to help solve any issues which we come across when it comes either to a new build or a second-hand yacht being registered under the Malta flag, or any issue that's going to arise in the day-to-day life of a boat. So one thing that I really am always interested in is something when an owner has chosen their yacht, it's a new yacht, and you're going to enter a build contract with the yard. At that point in time, how important is it for that owner to already know and notify the yard which flag they wish to register the boat under once complete? Is it normal that boats opt for upon being registered under before being completed? I understand the Malta flag has certain, for example, to give an example,
Each
it
flag
has certain options.
Each flag will have their own technical codes. So we have our Commercial Yacht Code. The Cayman Island would have the Red Ensign code. So of course it makes sense to, the builders need to know which code they're going for, because it will dictate how the yacht is built. But to be honest, there's not too many significant differences between the codes. You can also have the yacht complying to multiple codes if you want.
Yes,
of course, that's
possible.
Additional complexity, and when there's the kickoff meeting, when the project is officially launched, the builders, the class, the surveyors, they all get together and decide what the final outcome of the yacht is. What the operating area would be, for example. So for that, they already need to refer to one of the codes.
Yes.
And decide, take into account what, how they're going to build the yacht. So I mentioned in the discussion we had previously that, for example, unrestricted yachts need to comply with damage stability. that means segregating the yacht into certain number of watertight compartments. So that needs to be taken care of, very early in the design build.
Yes, and if the owner in such a case decides to change the flag,
exactly.
once the design stability has already been planned.
Over the years, the codes kind of have harmonized together. There's even talk now of a unified yacht code at the IMO level, but probably we're still a couple years away from that. But yes, exactly. So you don't want to start with one code and halfway through the project you change code and you realize that codes have different requirements for certain aspects. This may require to have to start modifying, and of course this will imply a lot of additional expenses which were catered for.
Yes, and I wonder whether it could affect the contract that was originally entered into. If, say, halfway through the contract, the owner decides they'd rather go for a particular flag and code, and then that might change quite a bit, for parts.
We've seen also that the owners change. For example, maybe when the yacht's being built, the owner wouldn't have been won't be there yet. They wouldn't have been selected. So yes, then they change last minute. It does happen often. As like I said, the codes are quite similar, but then towards the end, then they start reviewing the items which do not fully comply.
Yes.
These are like the exemptions, alternative arrangements. So then the flag will start reviewing these. And then obviously if they come and change flag at the last minute, then we have to review them again. It doesn't mean we will accept what the other flag has accepted. Okay. We may impose certain conditions or operating restrictions. So yes, of course, the earlier this is done, the better. You don't want to leave it at the last minute.
Yes, and say the boat is being built in Italy and has no flag, but I understand it's quite common for the yard themselves to register the boat under a particular flag while the vessel is under construction. And then once complete, it will be up to the new owner to register the boat under the flag of choice. So is this the most common scenario?
What we see is that the builder will register the yacht on the same flag where the port is.
Okay, so with Italy, it would be in the capitanery there.
This also allows them to do like sea trials, for example. But then early in the project, they can they will decide, let's go with Malta flag. And there is the option with Malta to also register the yacht under construction. Doesn't need to be.
So on the Malta, we can register the boat under construction, which is fantastic.
That is correct.
And say the yards, do they cooperate with that? Would they recognize that the boat is registered under construction under the Malta flag?
I mean, each yard is different. Some yards are very happy to work with us. I think we've established some pretty good relationships with certain yards. Other yards, maybe the ones in Northern Europe, just like to stick with what they're more familiar with. And for now, it seems they're more familiar with the red and sign codes than our code. But I think slowly we're bringing them on board. We're seeing more and more projects, registering with Malta straight away, and we get involved with the yachts through the surveyors and the classification societies.
Excellent. And so when you mentioned red and sign, that is attributable to which flag?
So our biggest competitor is the Cayman Islands. They're one of these jurisdictions that fall under the UK, one of the...
Yes.
And yes, Cayman Islands are probably our biggest competitor.
Okay.
The Red Ensign code is very popular. It's older than ours. It was from the large yacht code, and then it's separated into the Red Ensign code.
And how easy is it to switch from a Red Ensign build to Malta? So you're talking about the Malta Commercial Yacht Code, right?
Yeah. When it comes to safety standards, both codes are probably the highest you can get, and I wouldn't say there's too many differences between the code. I think the biggest issue is always when they don't fully comply with their code, and they've been granted a number of deviations and alternative arrangements instead of complying. And obviously these need to be checked again before Malta can accept it. And we may impose different conditions.
And what if the boat is complete? The owner thinks they're going to be sailing in a month's time, soon after delivery, and they've decided at that point we're going for another flag, say Malta, when it's built to Red Ensign standard. How cooperative can the flag be, bearing in mind there are technical requirements and standards and safety, most importantly?
So like I said, the Red Ensign code is very well known, and it has a very good good reputation. So in our code, actually, we do allow a transition period for 3 months. So if the yacht is certified under the Red Ensign code, we can give them 3 months to continue operating under Malta flag using their previous commercial yacht code compliance certificate for 3 months. And then within those 3 months, the surveyor will start inspecting the yacht to confirm compliance with the Malta flag. So we're quite flexible. We know the yacht is built to another, reputable, established yacht code.
Yes.
Of course, there's some yacht codes we're not familiar with and we don't recognize. So for that, we wouldn't apply the same.
No, you'd require more time.
Exactly.
And you'd have to
probably the surveyor will need to go on board to carry out like a preliminary assessment before the owner can fully commit registering to Malta. It really depends to what standard.
Yes.
But usually shipyards in Italy are all built to very good standards. So
yes.
I won't need to worry.
And you mentioned surveyor. So if a boat is of a certain size, over 500 GT, class is obligatory.
Exactly.
What levels do you need to have class involved? And when and what stage should a flag surveyor get involved when it's a new build yacht?
So I think in all cases, the flag surveyor, if the owners want to appoint one, they can always delegate entirely to the class if they want. Yes, they get the surveyor involved as early as possible. When it comes to yachts under 24 meters, there's no obligation for them to be classed because they're regulated under the EU's Recreational Craft Directive. So they built in accordance to that. And our small yacht code has some additional requirements that go on top of that. Of course, this is verified by the surveyor. So, of course, it makes a lot of sense to get the surveyor engaged as early as possible.
Yes.
Yachts 24 meters and above have to be built to class. So they need to appoint a classification society regardless. And then, of course, they can also appoint a Malta government surveyor to oversee the commercial yacht code compliance aspect.
If I'm new to the scene and I have no idea who to appoint, would a yard be able to guide me with this, or would I need to find somebody in Malta to help me with this?
Some yards have very good relationships with some of our surveyors as well as the class, so they could recommend, for example, certain surveyors.
And you have a list of approved surveyors?
Yes, so there's a number of government surveyors that are authorized to carry out surveys on our behalf, and it also issue certification on our behalf. For yachts less than 500 gross tons.
And how do you get to that list to be on that list?
So that's available from our website.
I see.
And it's updated regularly. And,
that's good to know. And so, as you said, some yards work hand in hand with certain flag surveyors from different flags. So if as an owner I say, I'd like to go for Malta, they would present the list of Malta surveyors, and it's up to the owner to engage one to work hand in hand with the yard, and at times class depends on if class is needed.
The surveyors ultimately overseeing what the yacht is building.
And how familiar are classification societies with our codes as Malta? Because Malta's codes have been revised a few times over the years, and I know that the 2025 Commercial Yacht Code has brought a few technical changes, right? Are they very important changes, Mark?
So the 2025 Commercial Yacht Code, which was launched about 2 months, in June actually.
Yes.
There's no major new items in it. It's large refinement, and a lot of that is actually better integration with class rules, because now class have seen the potential for the yacht market for them, so they're developing a lot of yacht-specific rules in terms of hull construction, watertight integrity, especially the placement of large windows. So our code takes that into account, and now there's much more deeper integration. We have a very intertwined relationship now with the classification societies. I think the last few years recently, especially, they're getting much more familiar with our codes. We've also been involved in a lot of meetings now with the class, so they like to keep us involved as well with their work. So, like I said, very intertwined relationship.
And what about yards that are not located in English-speaking countries? Can I give you an example? Poland, Croatia, or Turkey. What do you do with yards where English is not the primary language? Do you have surveyors appointed of that nationality who also know how to survey and code under the Malta flag?
We have a few, but most of our surveyors are Maltese. But all these yards now, they speak very good English.
Yes.
And yes, even though most of our surveyors are based in Malta, they're constantly flying out to these places. It Turkey, they're very, very happy also to build
That's
with
good.
our code. To Italy especially. And I don't think there's really any issue with the language barrier.
Yes. I wondered because, if you have a class that have their office within that same country and then they need to be cooperating with the local surveyor.
Won't be there specifically for yachts. They
could be for merchant ships,
exactly,
right?
but it's like a very international industry, and I don't think the language barrier plays an issue at the moment.
Good, as long as it's not discouraging to new owners, that's important, I feel.
Yeah.
And what are the main areas that flag would ensure are in place? So you mentioned stability, right? Design stability.
Yes, so,
what are the areas are important to look out for?
The big chapters are, for example, watertight integrity. So that's where the ventilation, how high from the deck ventilation has to be placed, how large windows, what standards they should comply with. Probably so in Monaco, a lot of yachts have now shell doors on the side, so there's specific rules for those as well. Electrical installation is now a big key. We have a lot of yachts going for hybrid propulsion. Of course, this is also can be considered as a bit of a fire hazard as well. So our rules are in place as well.
And crew training, perhaps?
Crews also included, regulated by the code. Life-saving equipment is very important. Fire protection, detection, extinction is all very. And the crew accommodation as well. So there's certain minimum standards of crew welfare and accommodation on board. Is
Malta the only flag that imposes MLC on all commercial yachts, whatever size?
Most flags now, almost all flags I know now have ratified the MLC. But the MLC, if you look at it, it's really built for cargo vessels. So it's very hard to implement on a yacht. So something like our Commercial Yacht Code will give alternative standards for crew accommodation within something a yacht, which is more realistic than what is found in the full MLC convention.
Which again is encouraging too, because somehow the minute I hear MLC and I see a particular yacht design, I say, how are they going to comply? And cabin height and all this, but you also want your crew to be comfortable. Because if you don't have a happy crew, nothing's going to move smoothly.
Exactly, but then we also take into consideration how these yachts really do operate. So a merchant ship, will do long crossings across the ocean for many days, while a yacht is really doing coastal navigation in good weather. So it's it can be a bit more flexible with the crew accommodation standards.
Good to know. And Mark, do you have any recommendations to first-time owners or owners who are going to who were owners already but of second-hand yachts, and it's their first experience with a new build? Do you have any recommendations to them at the start of their negotiations and discussions with the yard? Could you tell like a few tips just to keep in mind for them throughout?
I mean, I don't have too many tips to give, but of course, to have a good vision of what you want from your yacht. So like this, you can start to appoint the Surveyor Classification Society. You know what standards and what rules the yacht needs to comply with. I think it's very important you get that very early in the project. So at the moment we have one new project that is going to be using alternative fuels.
Wow.
It's a very large and complicated subject, but it's all new to us, the technology. So they've gone the right path by deciding immediately what class they want, what rules they want to apply.
That's excellent.
So I think that is definitely the way to go as early as you can from the project.
When you mention alternative fuels, is that covered by the Maltese Commercial Yacht Code?
At the moment, the code just has just very brief paragraphs that we will accept the class arrangements for alternative designs. The rules on an international level are actually not available yet for certain fuels because it's all very new. The IMO is always playing a bit catch up as well.
And do you think the flag will consider giving some incentives to new owners if they opt for greener options?
I know that is one of the visions, yes.
It's a vision, that's good.
For sure, yes. We want to encourage also alternative fuels, especially with the IMO pressing hard on reducing greenhouse emissions as well. And yachts are seen also as, it can be considered a bit wasteful when it comes to, emitting environment. So a lot of owners are now conscious that they want very, very environmentally friendly yachts. obviously this adds a lot of complications to the technologies that are on board.
Yes, of course. But I hope that with time, these procedures will become easier.
Yes,
This would be the new standard.
That's how it goes with the codes. We get approached for certain design aspects, which become more and more common until eventually they're integrated into the next revision of the code. So that's what I was talking about with the class rules, with the large windows. These weren't always accepted at first, but then the classification societies started making their own structural rules for this, and it gave us a good platform to start accepting. The class have the best technical expertise, and
yes.
We also rely a lot on our own government surveyors as well.
Yes. So, Mark, what can I tell you? Keep up your amazing work
with
keeping in touch with class, IMO standards, and participating at IMO level, because Malta is very active there, and also encouraging surveyors to guide their clients in the right direction, to really start from the beginning. To be clear, clarity is so important from the beginning, because if you are clear, then you would avoid any hiccups even arising on the contractual side later on. Even if this is a technical issue arising, it could affect contractually. So on the legal side, I know that it could have issues that way. So, Mark, I also wanted to ask you about tenders, and how are those regulated under the Malta flag?
So we have a number of options now. So by default, a tender can operate up to 3 nautical miles from the mother yacht, both for pleasure and commercial yachts. But then you also have the option to register the tender independently if it's as its own pleasure yacht, as long as it's 6 meters and above.
Yes.
Like that, it's more its own independent boat than rather a tender. But of course, if it's a commercial yacht, you got to take into consideration whether this tender is being used for rescue purposes. So it may still end up being restricted. And then in addition, a tender can be also registered as a commercial yacht if it's large enough. It needs to be 12 meters and above.
Yes.
For that, it will fall under the small commercial yacht code. But of course, it's the highest standard, of course. And then we do have the extended range tender guidelines. So in this case, the tender is not registered independently, but its operating area from the mother yacht can be increased depending on what type of equipment is on board and to what design standard it's built to.
And you're finding this is one of the most common options these days?
It's quite common. I think tenders in general is becoming common. Chase boats as well.
Yes.
Some of them are too big to even be carried on
board. So those will be registered as a separate boat. What are they called? Other vessels? They qualify as other vessel?
In terms of operating profile, it's what a tender or a chase boat does. But if they're registered independently, they're not technically tenders.
They're like a separate pleasure yacht or other vessel, right?
That's why we have the extended range tender guidelines. So the tender does not need to be registered separately. It's just marked as TT, the name of the mother yacht.
And then it must always follow the mother yacht. Even if it's, but those tenders need to be placed on board the boat, right?
Exactly,
they need to be able to be placed on board.
They can still be towed.
They could be towed.
Yes, as well.
Interesting. And do you find that this is always decided also, the tenders chosen at build stage as well, or would they choose a tender later on?
Tenders are always changed. I mean, most new builds we have, there's actually no tender information. It's something the owner will buy
later on.
At a later stage.
And they must keep in mind that it should be easily towed or placed on board.
Exactly.
Otherwise,
so
it needs to go for a separate registration.
Exactly. That's something the surveyor will check the towing arrangement for us as well. So, yes, that should also be taken into account.
So, we are here at Summer Zoo, and I'd like to thank the Marine, as usual, for sponsoring and hosting us here. I am at Marina di Valletta, where the Marine Marina is housed, and I thank Mark, who is from the Malta Ship Registry. So thank you, Mark, for your time as well, and your colleagues for letting you be here while we could have this chat. Yes, you are. So thank you so much for that. And as always, I'm happy to promote Malta and encourage listeners to know more about Malta and to read more. So if you have any questions about Malta, Mark has a direct contact email. You can find him at Transport Malta, Malta Ship Registry. And I can tell you, as I've always said, Malta Ship Registry listens. They are available anytime. So any queries you have, you can get in touch directly. Thank you, Mark. Keep up the great work.
Thank you, Jessica.
For being with us.
Thank you.
If your brand belongs in the heart of the yachting world, this is where it happens. Yachting International Radio reaches over 1 million yachting professionals and enthusiasts every month, with 77 million impressions, 220,000 social followers, and 74,000 podcast subscribers. Our hosts are insiders, crew, captains, CEOs, trusted voices shaping the industry. This is targeted, high-impact advertising in a luxury niche. Visit yachtinginternationalradio.com/advertise. Your audience is already listening.